All right, everyone, I want you to close your eyes. Seriously, just for a second.
You serious? Do it.
Block out the classroom, block out your phone. Imagine this scenario. It is the zombie apocalypse.
That's starting big today.
We have to. The world as we know it, Starbucks, the internet, Amazon Prime delivery, it's all gone.
Collapsed.
The malls are looted, the cities are overrun, and the schools are, well, let's be honest, probably surprisingly safe because the zombies are looking for brains.
Ouch. Starting off with a roast. I feel seen.
No, I love them. But seriously, let's say you and a group of your friends have survived.
Okay.
You've managed to escape the chaos. You've found a walled-off island that's surprisingly safe from the undead. You made it. You are safe. But the adrenaline wears off, you look around, and you realize you have a massive, immediate problem.
It's that classic survival scenario, the now what moment.
Exactly. You have limited food, you have limited tools, maybe a couple of hammers, and like one saw between 20 people.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. You have limited space. But here is the kicker. Everyone still wants the best house on the island.
Oh, of course. The one with the beach view.
Everyone wants the most food. Everyone wants the coolest weapons to fight off the stragglers. You have this clash between what people want and what is actually available.
And that right there, that whole scenario, isn't just a plot for a video game or a TV show.
No.
That is the fundamental problem of the entire world we live in right now.
Yeah.
It is a concept called scarcity.
Scarcity. It sounds so intense, like a cologne or something, but it's actually the bedrock of everything we were going to talk about today.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
If you take nothing else away from today, I want you to remember this. The fundamental problem of economics is this simple equation.
Okay.
Humans have unlimited wants.
Yeah.
We're just.
Yeah.
We're wired to always want more.
A better phone, a faster car, nicer clothes.
Or in our island scenario, the biggest house with the best hammock.
Right. But the Earth.
The Earth is stingy. It has limited resources. There's only so much land, so much fresh water, so much oil, and only so many people available to work, which we call labor.
So we have an infinite appetite staring at a very, very limited menu.
That's a great way to put it. And because of that gap, every society in history, from ancient civilizations to your zombie island survival group, has to answer three massive questions.
Three big ones.
If you can answer these three questions, you have built an economic system.
Okay, lay them on us. We're on the island. People are getting hungry. The arguments are starting. What do we need to decide?
Question one is, what to produce?
What?
This is often called the guns or butter debate.
Guns or butter? I've heard that phrase.
It's a metaphor, right? Are we spending our limited resources, our limited time and metal-making weapons to fight off zombies? That's guns.
Okay.
Or are we using that time and metal to make plows and grow corn to feed the people? That's butter.
And you can't really do both with the same piece of land or the same person's time.
You can't. In the real world, this is the choice between spending tax money on the military or spending it on, say, schools and hospitals.
Got it. It's about priorities. What's question two?
Question two is how to produce it.
How?
So let's say we all voted and we decided to grow corn. Butter it is.
Good choice. I'm hungry.
Me too. Now, how do we do it? Do we use machines? If we can find a working tractor, or do we just get everyone out there with hand tools? Human labor.
So it's machines versus people.
Right. And also, do we force everyone to work 18 hours a day to get a massive harvest really quickly? Or do we treat people well, give them fair wages, or in this case, extra food rations, and just accept that it might take longer?
So it's also about efficiency versus, well, humanity.
Exactly. And the third one, I feel like this is the one that causes the actual fistfights on the island.
I can see it now.
Oh, absolutely. Question three is, who gets it?
Who gets the stuff?
Who gets the stuff? Once we've grown all that corn or built the houses, who takes them home? Does the strongest person get the most food?
The person who can bench press a zombie.
Sure. Or does the person who worked the hardest get the best house? Or does everyone get an equal share, no matter what they did?
Those are huge questions.
They're everything.
So today on the deep dive, we are decoding the systems that rule your world by looking at how different societies answer those three questions.
We're going to look at the economic spectrum, capitalism versus socialism.
Then we're going to map out the political spectrum, liberals versus conservatives.
And finally, we're going to get into why you believe what you believe. It's going to be a fascinating ride.
It is. So let's start with the economic engine that powers most of the Western world.
Let's do it.
Segment one, we're talking about capitalism.
Now, people throw this word around constantly, usually in internet arguments. But let's actually define the beast.
Let's get a real definition.
According to the historians at Crash Course, capitalism is, quote, an economic cultural system characterized by innovation and investment to increase wealth.
Innovation and investment, those are the key words.
They are. And specifically, we need to talk about industrial capitalism. This is the system that really relies on the investment of capital.
And when economists say capital, they don't just mean a stack of cash, right?
No, that's a common mistake.
Yeah.
They mean the tools, the machines, the factories, the things you use to make other things.
I love the analogy we have for this one. I want you to imagine you have a friend named Stan.
Stan, a great guy, hard worker.
He is. But imagine you could build a Stan machine.
A robot Stan.
A robot Stan. And this machine can do 10 times the work of human Stan. Now that robot costs money. It's expensive.
A lot of money up front.
Right. You have to pay an upfront cost. Maybe you have to save up for years. That's your investment. But if you buy it, you can crank out 10 times the product.
And make way more profit later on.
That act, spending money now on a machine to make more profit later, that is the absolute heartbeat of industrial capitalism.
It's all about efficiency.
Yeah.
And in a capitalist system, or what we call a free market economy, the idea is that the government keeps its nose out of it. Individuals own what are called the factors of production.
Factors of production. Okay, that sounds like a textbook term. Let's break that down.
It is, but it's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Karl Marx actually classified them as land, labor, and capital.
So land, people, and machines.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
In a free market, private individuals own the land, they own the capital, the stand machines, and individuals own their own labor, which they sell to the factory owner for wages.
And because they own all that stuff, they're motivated by profit.
Exactly. Which brings us to one of the most famous and maybe misunderstood concepts in all of economics.
The invisible hand.
Ooh.
Spooky.
It sounds spooky, but it's actually Adam Smith's big idea from way back in 1776.
A very long time ago.
The idea is that if everyone just acts in their own selfish best interest, it somehow magically helps society as a whole.
Right. His famous example was the butcher, the brewer, and the baker.
Okay.
The butcher doesn't give you meat because he's a nice guy who's worried you aren't getting enough protein. He doesn't really care about your health.
You're not my mom. He is not your mom. He gives you meat because he wants your money. He is acting selfishly. But in the process, you get fed. Everyone wins.
And the mechanism that makes this whole thing work, that keeps the butcher from charging you $1 million for a steak, is competition.
Yes.
Think about cars. Do you see many DeLorean cars driving around these days? The Back to the Future car?
Not unless they're hitting 88 miles per hour, no.
Exactly. Why? Because, cool doors aside, they were expensive, they were underpowered, and, well, people didn't want them.
They weren't a great car.
So in a free market, if you make stuff people don't want, you fail. You go bankrupt. The resources, the steel, the glass, the rubber, stop going to DeLoreans and start going to Toyotas or Fords that people actually want.
That is the invisible hand at work. It's moving scarce resources to their most desired use without anyone in government telling them what to do. The formula is simple.
What is it?
Profit motive plus competition equals efficiency.
But this system, this way of thinking, it didn't just happen overnight. There was a huge cultural shift that had to happen for capitalism to take over the world.
Yeah, we have to go back in history a bit. Before industrial capitalism, we had something called mercantile capitalism.
Mercantile, like a merchant.
Exactly. Think of yourself as a rug merchant in the year 1200. You borrow money, you buy a bunch of beautiful rugs in the Middle East, you haul them back to Europe, and you sell them for a profit.
Simple trade. Buy low, sell high.
That's it. But then things got bigger. Then came the joint stock companies in the 17th century.
This is where things get interesting.
Imagine sending a ship from England to trade with India. It's incredibly risky.
Pirates, storms, getting lost.
All of it. If you put all your money into one boat and that boat sinks, you're ruined. You lose everything.
So they invented a way to split the risk.
They did. Instead of owning one whole boat, I'll own 1/10 of 10 different boats.
So if one sinks, it's not great, but you're still okay because the other 9 came back loaded with spices.
Precisely. This allowed for massive investment and, well, massive wealth creation. It funded exploration and colonization.
But the real game changer, and this is a bit of a darker part of the story, was something called the Enclosure Acts in Britain.
This is where the sheep come in, right?
Surprisingly, yes, it's all about sheep. For centuries in England, landlords and tenants shared what was called common land.
Open fields.
Right. You could graze your family's cow or a few sheep on this open land. It was shared space for the whole community.
But then the landlords realized they could make way more money selling wool if they raised huge flocks of sheep.
And you can't raise a huge, efficient flock on a field where everyone else's cow is wandering around.
Exactly. To do it efficiently, they started building fences. They enclosed the common land to make it private property.
This was great for the landlords' profits. They could farm much more efficiently. But what happened to the peasants who lived there?
It was terrible for them. They got kicked off the land. They lost their livelihood, their way of life.
So where did they go?
They moved to the cities. And suddenly, you had a massive displaced workforce with no options, desperate for any kind of work. This provided the labor for the new factories of the Industrial Revolution.
And this whole story connects to a huge argument for capitalism, the idea of private property.
Yes, this is a core principle. We saw this in one of our sources. Think about a public park versus your own backyard.
Okay.
Public parks are great, but they can get messy. Why? Because everyone owns them, which means no single person feels responsible for cleaning the bathroom or picking up the trash.
Economists call that the tragedy of the commons.
Exactly. But your own house,
Yeah.
your own backyard, if you own it, you renovate it, you paint the walls, you fix the roof.
You take care of it because it's yours and you have a stake in it.
Capitalism argues that private ownership makes people take better care of resources and use them more efficiently.
However, we have to acknowledge the dark side here. When industrial capitalism first exploded in the 19th century, it wasn't all shiny new iPhones and nice renovations.
No, not at all. We're talking about 16-hour workdays, incredibly low wages, dangerous, miserable conditions.
And child labor, kids working in coal mines at factories.
It was brutal. The efficiency of the stand machine often meant treating human beings like they were just another part of the machine.
And this misery, this conflict, it led a lot of people to look around and ask a very important question.
Is there a better way? Can we answer those 3 zombie island questions differently?
Which leads us perfectly into segment 2, the reaction. The pendulum swings left.
Enter socialism and communism.
Now, these terms get used interchangeably all the time, especially on social media, but they have different origin stories, don't they?
They do. Socialism actually started in France.
Okay.
And you had 2 main flavors of it at first. You had utopian socialism, which was associated with guys like Charles Fourier.
Utopian. So like a perfect world.
Yeah, these guys looked at the violence of the French Revolution and said, whoa, okay, that was a bit much. Let's just create perfect little communities where everyone shares everything and we all live in harmony.
And Fourier was a bit of a character.
To put it mildly, he was kind of out there. He famously believed that in a perfect socialist world, human nature would change so much that the seas would literally turn into lemonade.
I mean, as a fan of lemonade, I see the appeal.
Who doesn't?
But as a strategy for running a country, maybe a bit unrealistic.
Just a tad. And that's why the other branch, revolutionary socialism, really take over.
And the heavyweight champion of this idea was?
Karl Marx, the man with the beard.
The beard to end all beards.
Absolutely. Marx is often called the father of communism, and he looked at capitalism, and he didn't see efficiency. He saw a fight.
He called it class struggle.
Exactly. He said society was split. On one side, you have the bourgeoisie.
The capitalists, the people who own the factories, the land, the means of production.
Right, the owners.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you have the proletariat.
The workers.
The workers. They own nothing but their own ability to work, their labor.
And Marx's whole argument was that capitalism isn't natural. He said that humans are naturally social creatures. We like to collaborate.
But capitalism forces us to compete. It replaces that natural collaboration with constant conflict between the owners and the workers.
So his goal was a revolution. The workers would rise up, seize the factories, and create a classless society where the workers own the means of production together, collectively.
That was the vision.
Okay, we need to pause here and do some vocabulary police work, because people confuse socialism and communism constantly.
All the time.
Based on our sources, what is the actual difference between the two?
It's really a matter of degree and method. Communism, as Marx saw it, is the end goal. It's revolutionary.
So violent overthrow.
Often, yes. And it involves a total abolition of private property. The government, which is supposed to be representing the people, owns everything. The factories, the farms, the houses.
And the slogan is key here.
The slogan is, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs.
Meaning if you're a doctor, you work as a doctor. If you need food and shoes, you get food and shoes, regardless of how much you worked.
Right. Your needs are met, whereas socialism is often seen as a transitional stage.
Okay.
And crucially, socialism can actually exist with private property. You might have your own house, maybe your own car, but the focus is on collective objectives, the big stuff.
Like healthcare, education, electricity.
Exactly. The major industries are owned by the public or the government to ensure everyone has access to them.
And the slogan changes just slightly, right?
It does. For socialism, it's from each according to his ability to each according to his contribution.
Ah, so there's a link between how much you work and what you get.
A much clearer link. In this kind of system, what's called a planned or command economy, the government decides the answers to our three zombie island questions.
They don't let the market decide.
No. They create a central plan. They decide what to produce. We need 5,000 tractors this year, not 5,000 sports cars. They decide how to produce them, and they decide who gets them.
You know, it sounds good on paper. Everyone gets fed, everyone has a job, no one is homeless.
That is the powerful appeal. It promises security and equality. But as we've seen in history, it has massive problems with efficiency and, well, freedom.
Without that invisible hand in competition, there's not much reason to innovate or work harder.
Innovation often just stalls. Which brings us to segment 3, the reality.
Because let's be honest, you look at a map of the world today, you don't really see pure 100% capitalism or pure 100% communism.
No, not at all. Those are theoretical extremes. They're like the two ends of a ruler. In the real world, we live in what's called the mixed economy.
We live in the middle.
We live in the gray area. So I want you to visualize that line. On the far left, you have that planned economy, total government control, public ownership, collectivism.
And on the far right, you have a pure market economy, total individual freedom, private ownership, basically no government interference.
And almost every single country on Earth falls somewhere in between those 2 points.
Take the United States or Canada. They're both mixed economies.
Absolutely.
So how does that actually work? What does it look like?
Well, economists use something called the circular flow model to explain it. Imagine a circle.
Okay.
On one side of the circle, you have households. That's us, regular people. On the other side, you have businesses.
Okay. Households and businesses.
Households sell their labor to businesses. We go to work. In return, businesses pay us money, our salaries.
Then we take that money and we go buy goods and services from the businesses.
And the money flows back to them. It's a simple circle. That's the market part.
But where does the government fit in?
The government sits right in the middle of the circle, and it kind of it sucks up money from both sides in the form of taxes.
It taxes our income and it taxes business profits.
Exactly. And in return, it provides public goods and services that the market might not provide on its own.
Things like roads, bridges, national defense, public schools.
All of that. And regulations. That's a huge one.
So important.
Huge. In a pure free market, if I want to sell a car that pollutes the air and has, I don't know, a 50% chance of exploding if you get rear-ended.
You could do it, buyer beware.
You could. But in a mixed economy, the government steps in and says, no, cars must have seatbelts and catalytic converters and airbags.
This reminds me of that great quote from the economist Thomas Sowell. He said, "There are no solutions, only trade-offs."
That is the golden rule of economics. It should be tattooed on every politician.
It really should. Regulations make cars safer and cleaner. That's the good part.
But they also make cars more expensive to build and buy. That's the trade-off. We're constantly balancing these things, safety versus cost, or equality versus efficiency.
One of our sources pointed out that Canada is a perfect example of this mix.
It really is.
We have private businesses making bikes and junk food and video games, things we want.
But we use taxes for the government to pay for things like healthcare and education, things we all agree that we collectively need.
It's trying to get the best of both worlds, the efficiency and innovation of the market to make cool stuff.
But with the security and equality of the government to make sure grandma can see a doctor without going bankrupt.
Okay, so we've tackled the economic spectrum, how we handle money and stuff. Now we need to tackle the other beast, the political spectrum.
Segment 4, left versus right.
We hear these terms every single day. The left-wing media, the right-wing politicians. But where do these terms actually come from? Is it like directions on a map?
It's much simpler and weirder than that. Believe it or not, it comes from seating arrangements.
Seating arrangements.
Seriously.
Seriously. During the French Revolution in 1789, the new government, the National Assembly, was meeting to decide the future of the country.
And the room was split. The people who supported the king and wanted to keep things the way they were, the status quo, tradition, the monarchy, they all sat together on the right side of the room.
And I'm guessing the people who wanted the revolution, who wanted big sweeping changes and to get rid of the king?
They all gathered and sat on the left. So historically, right has meant tradition and maintaining the status quo, and left has meant change and revolution.
That actually makes a lot of sense. It's so simple.
It is.
So let's fast forward to today, to modern American or Canadian politics. How do we define liberals and conservatives now?
Generally speaking, liberals are on the left. And you could say their primary political virtue is equality.
They look at the world, see inequality, and believe the government can and should step in to solve that problem.
Right. They tend to favor a bigger government. They want the government to regulate businesses, to protect the environment, to create programs to help marginalized groups, and to level the economic playing field.
And in that guns versus butter debate, they usually choose
Butter. They tend to prefer spending on social programs over military spending.
And on the right side of the aisle.
You have the conservatives, and their primary political virtue is liberty or freedom.
They look at the world and see a big government as a potential threat to individual freedom.
Exactly. They champion a smaller government. They have more faith in the free market to solve problems.
They want lower taxes because they believe that you know how to spend your money better than the government does.
And in the guns versus butter debate, they usually prioritize guns, a strong national defense to protect that liberty.
Okay, but wait, it gets more complicated. Because a single line from left to right doesn't cover everything. What if I want the government to stay out of my wallet and stay out of my personal life?
That is a fantastic question. And that's why a lot of political scientists now use a grid, not just a line.
So like an x-axis and a y-axis from math class.
Exactly that. The horizontal x-axis is our familiar left-right economic line.
More government control on the left, less on the right.
But then you add a vertical y-axis. And this axis is about social control versus social freedom.
Okay, so what's at the top and what's at the bottom?
At the very top, you have authoritarianism. This means total government control over your personal life.
Dictatorships. The government tells you what you can say, what religion to follow, who you can marry.
And at the very bottom, you have libertarianism.
Maximum individual freedom.
Right. The government should basically just protect your rights and then leave you alone. It shouldn't get involved in your personal or economic life.
So with this grid, you can be a left libertarian, someone who wants, say, universal health care, but also total personal freedom.
Or you could be a right authoritarian, someone who wants free markets, but also a strict government enforcing traditional social rules. It allows for more nuance.
And this leads to a really mind-bending idea you mentioned earlier, the horseshoe theory.
Oh, I love this one. It messes with a simple line.
It does.
The idea is that the political spectrum isn't a straight line from left to right. It's shaped more like a horseshoe.
Okay, so it curves.
It curves. And if you go far enough to the extreme left like Stalin's communism, and you go far enough to the extreme right like fascism, you don't end up on opposite sides of the universe.
You actually end up
almost touching. You get very, very similar.
Because both involve a totalitarian government, secret police, censorship, a cult of personality, and zero individual freedom.
Precisely. Total control looks like total control, no matter what color flag you're waving. It's a useful warning.
It is. Okay, so we have the economic spectrum, socialism versus capitalism, and we have the political spectrum, liberal versus conservative. Now we get to the question that every student listening is probably thinking.
Where do I fit in all of this?
Exactly, and more importantly, why? Which brings us to segment 5, political socialization. Why you think what you think.
It's so easy to believe, oh, I'm a logical, rational person. I just looked at the facts and came to my own conclusions.
But the research shows that's rarely true.
It's not that simple. Political science tells us there are 4 main agents of socialization that basically program our political beliefs from a young age.
Agent number 1. What's the biggest one?
Family. This is the big one. It is the number 1 most powerful influence on your political identity.
The old saying, liberal parents breed liberal children.
Usually, yes. The data backs that up. It can be either emulation, you respect your parents, you look up to them, so you copy their beliefs.
Or it can be rebellion.
Or rebellion. You think your parents are totally out of touch, so you consciously go the opposite way. But either way, that dinner table conversation is where it all starts.
Agent number 2.
Social groups. This is things like your race, your gender, your religion, the groups you identify with.
We hear about the gender gap in voting, right? Where women statistically tend to be more liberal, especially on issues like defense spending.
That's a perfect example. And religion plays a huge role. In the US, for instance, evangelical Christians as a group tend to be very reliably conservative. It's about the community you are surrounded by and the values they share.
Okay, that makes sense. Agent number 3.
Education, the school system itself.
So us, we're an agent of socialization right now.
We are. Schools teach civics. They teach shared values like democracy and liberty. But there is another interesting correlation the data shows.
What's that?
The more years of higher education a person has, the more likely they are to hold liberal social views.
Interesting. So going to college or university tends to make people more socially liberal.
Generally, yes. The theory is that you're exposed to a much wider variety of people and ideas than you were in your hometown. It's complex, though.
And the final agent, the 4th one.
Political conditions. This is basically the era you grow up in, the major events that shape your generation.
So for example, if you grew up during the Great Depression,
You saw the free market completely fail. You saw millions of people unemployed, starving, and then you saw the government step in with FDR's New Deal and create jobs and social safety nets.
so your generation would probably come to see government as the hero, a force for good.
You'd likely become a lifelong Democrat, a liberal, because you saw government solve a massive problem.
But what if you grew up in the 1980s during the Reagan era?
Then you heard the opposite message every day. You heard that government was the problem, not the solution. You saw the economy booming under deregulation and tax cuts.
So you'd probably grow up to be a conservative who believes in self-reliance and small government.
It's fascinating that something as random as the year you were born can have such a huge impact on how you vote 40 years later.
It really is. And the takeaway here isn't that you're just a robot programmed by your parents in your birth year.
No, not at all.
It's that you should examine your own beliefs. Be critical. Don't just blindly follow a label. Ask yourself, do I believe this because I've thought it through or because it's just what my dad yelled at the TV every night?
That is the deep dive mission right there. It's
Yeah.
all about critical thinking.
Exactly.
All right, we have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We have. We survived the zombie apocalypse. We built the stand machine. We started a revolution. And we mapped the human political mind. Let's do a quick recap.
Let's sum it all up. Point 1. It all starts with scarcity. Unlimited wants, limited resources. That forces us to decide what, how, and for whom to produce.
Point 2, the economic spectrum. It runs from the planned economy on the left, which values public ownership and equality, to the market economy on the right, which values private ownership and efficiency.
Point 3, the political spectrum. It runs from liberal on the left, valuing change and a bigger government, to conservative on the right, valuing tradition and a smaller government.
And point 4, and this might be the most important one, it's all a mix. Most of the world lives in the gray area, trying to balance freedom and security, liberty and equality.
Well said.
And now, it is time to put you, our listeners, to the test.
Hello, check your understanding quiz.
I'm going to ask 3 questions based on what we just talked about. Feel free to pause if you need a second to think. Ready?
I'm ready.
Question 1. What is the invisible hand and which economic system does it belong to?
Thinking music. Did-a-do, hopefully you said. It is the idea that individual self-interest creates social benefits, and it belongs to capitalism or the market economy.
Perfect. Question 2. According to Karl Marx, history is a struggle between which 2 classes?
If you said the bourgeoisie, who are the owners, and the proletariat, who are the workers, give yourself a gold star.
Or a red star, I guess, for the thing.
Or a red star, sure.
And question 3. What is the primary agent of political socialization, the #1 thing that most influences your political views?
Remember, it's not TikTok.
Yeah.
It's your family.
All right, before we let you go, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot about labels today. Capitalist, socialist, liberal, conservative.
They can be useful, but they can also be traps. And there is a famous quote from a former Chinese leader named Deng Xiaoping.
Okay.
He was the one who started transforming China's economy, moving it from strict communism toward something much more market-based. And he said this: "It doesn't matter whether a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice, it's a good cat."
I love that quote.
Me too. It's a reminder to look at policies based on results. Does this policy actually work? Does it solve the problem?
Not just is it a left-wing idea or a right-wing idea?
Exactly. Sometimes we get so caught up in wearing the right team jersey that we forget the goal is to actually catch the mice, to solve the real-world problems of scarcity and survival.
So go out there, question your assumptions, check your own programming, and maybe, just maybe, be the one who figures out how to share the supplies on the zombie island without anyone getting into a fistfight. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.